People love to ask wallets when token, and apparently every wallet and their mother in the last couple of weeks said right now. But more on that in a second. Welcome to Cryptocurrents, the weekly podcast of people actually working in crypto and blockchain, talking about everything that is important in crypto and blockchain. Think of us like a lovely olive oil. You can drizzle us on ice cream, you can drizzle us on vegetables. We make everything better, and at least me, I'm full of good fats. I'm your host, Vince, and today I'm joined by our resident degen, Kale from the Encrypt team.
Cheers, mate.
And Katya from the Mew team.
I don't even... Hi. I'm so disoriented by the full of good fats. I'm just having all kinds of visualizations.
I mean, look at these cheeks. Like they're quite chubby cheeks. So I want to talk about tokens because that's relevant to us as a wallet, but we'll get to that in a bit. But let's talk about moving crypto. So Plasma is a new company that went live, which is trying to be the first stablecoin neobank is kind of their positioning. And they've got a new money app with like 10% plus yields. You've got cash back in this app, and they're positioning themselves as spend your staples anywhere. We talk a lot about stablecoins. That's kind of part of the main narrative we see in crypto right now. But talk to me about Plasma. Kale, kick us off.
I love to hear it. Love to see it. I'm super excited about it. So from what I've gathered based off of the announcement, it's like an actual everything finance app, right? Like all of these apps, I feel like Kraken and Robinhood and etc., Coinbase, they're trying to be the app where like you park all your stables and you can also use it to pay for things and you can also use it to send money here and there. But Plasma apparently, so it's an L1 blockchain focused only on stablecoins.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're dropping an app where just in like the 1 minute teaser video, it shows that like people are paying with it, like how you use Apple Pay, like you just put your phone to the thing and it charges out of your Plasma app. Apparently, yeah, like you said, there's like 10% yields for stablecoins, which putting a pin in that, or like a side note on that, I think that that sounds like kind of crazy even for me. And I'm pretty sure that if it's 10% yield, like they must be paying probably like 5% in stables and maybe like 5% in their own token. And then they just call it 10% yield.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Unless they're doing some other crazy DeFi
like illegal
stuff.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's like a bunch of like OG, like really trusted, like good DeFi protocols that are partnered with them. Aave, there's like a whole list of them, but Aave was the one that stood out to me. So yeah, I mean, it seems promising. And the app isn't live yet, but yeah, like I said, it looks really cool. I'm really excited about it. If they execute it correctly, this could be like a crazy moment for stablecoins. It's basically, it's giving access to everybody. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just really excited to see where it goes.
I am kind of intrigued that they're going all in on stables, because that kind of feels very boring. It kind of to me is like, yeah, this one use case, we're going all in on it, which could be really good, but at the same time could not really pan out. Atia, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, Plasma is affiliated, well, not affiliated, but connected to Tether, right? Like it's the
somehow.
same guy. Yeah, like
they have like
investor.
no fees for USDT.
Yeah. So they're USDT related, deeply related. So that's the reason. One of the reasons. There's many reasons for stable coins right now, but for them specifically, it's USDT. And so, their positioning of it is that everybody wants the dollar, which is the general positioning of stable coins right now, and not untrue when we're talking about, because they give examples of like Brazil and Turkey and all kinds of like why people want to turn their earnings or whatever is going on into the dollar and earn yield in the dollar and store it as a dollar and all of that stuff. That's the argument, the big argument right now for stable coins generally. So that makes sense. What I was struck by is something a little bit on a tangent. I was reading their release blog piece, And when they're making the argument for the Everything app, which I agree with Kale, this seems more complete as an Everything app than a lot of things we've seen before, because they're like, they aren't an exchange that adds a centralized thing that adds DeFi or vice versa. They're just coming out of the door with the whole kind of fan of, offerings.
Yeah.
But the thing that struck me was when they were making the argument, the usual thing, like the crypto space, the offerings are not complete, like we're making a complete solution. And they're saying people are stuck using generic crypto wallets. And that phrase struck me because we are far enough in in the story for there to be a generic crypto wallet. Like there's Tylenol and there's, oh God, I shouldn't probably have mentioned Tylenol, but like, there's Advil and yeah, and generic Advil, ibuprofen, and now there's generic crypto wallets, like, and to me, it's almost like there's like a whole new narrative emerging of like, don't go off brand for a generic wallet, have a brand, use a brand, Plasma One in this case. And that left me wondering, like, is Mu a generic crypto wallet? Like, because we're a self-custody wallet, that we are like client side, we are not like, we don't custody your crypto, we are not KYC, like all of that. Are we the generic? Like, I was
think
like,
we
is
are,
it me?
right?
Is it me?
The way I read it was like wallets without a hook, wallets
Yeah.
without like a USB beyond like, yo, it's pretty.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, I think I'm kind of a generic crypto wallet girl. Like I I don't buy off-brand, Prada. I don't buy on-brand Prada either, but like, but I think I'm a generic crypto wallet kind of person. So that was interesting to me, that these big players in the space are leaning so heavy into their branding and marketing and all that. And it's becoming a thing of like, don't use some rando wallet that you just downloaded, even from the App Store, like if it doesn't have this powerful brand and the card and all of that stuff. And I think that's not the way, in my opinion. In terms of like generally crypto onboarding and whatever. But I think that's the message that they're going for.
I just think it's going to be funny when they eventually have to like expand to hold other cryptos, because there is just a finite number of people in crypto that want to do stables.
I have heard I don't know if it was the CEO, it was one of the C-suites. I was watching an interview from him, and he mentioned that they're going to do Bitcoin, like wrapped Bitcoin eventually, so that you can come and like bring your Bitcoin onto Plasma and participate in the yield with wrapped Bitcoin. So it's something. They might bring on other assets eventually.
But
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. But can you imagine, you're like, we're trying to make crypto easier and you can do stable coins, you there, non-crypto native. Also, let me explain what wrapped Bitcoin is. Like, give me a break. Like, that's insane. Offer the native token. Like, that makes more, I don't know.
True.
I mean, I think they will offer more. It's going to be a walled garden. So everybody's going to be, that's another thing I was thinking. Like all of these are kind of a wall, even though they have things on chain and they have DeFi components, etc. But they are all walled gardens. And I'm just thinking, like, fast forwarding a little bit, like we have banks today and everybody has their preference of a bank. For whatever reason, because your parents bank there, because your spouse banks there, whatever, because it was your first college bank, who knows? But honestly, overall, they are kind of all the same. They're offering the same basic services.
0.001% yield.
Yeah.
Get them.
Yeah. So a neobank might be an upgrade on a generic, like on the traditional bank, because right now they're offering higher yields. But I feel like all these everything apps that we are talking about are going in that direction, that they're going to be like, they're maybe better than a regular bank in all of these ways, but like they're all going for the same thing, and they're all just going to be like, well, you have Chase and I have Citi and he has Bank of America and whatever, like whatever. So, and I feel like the self-custody part of it, the non-custodial wallet, whatever, is still the different product. So I'm kind of not too excited by this, but interested to see
Yeah.
what happens with it.
Well, speaking of walled gardens, let's talk about CZ and launching Aster, which is a hyperliquid competitor. Kale, you're a degen. Talk to me about this, and talk to me about perps.
Yeah, so I never like got too crazy into perps because I'm just like I'm scared to get too into it. You know, I hear so many horror stories, but I have tried hyperliquid here and there. Aster just came out like 4 or 5 days ago, and so basically it's just like not a hyperliquid clone, but almost. It's like a pretty direct competitor. It's just a perps trading platform. It's its own L1, I believe. But it's also a DEX on BNB. I'm not exactly 100% sure on like how that connection, where that
I don't
connection
think
is.
they are either, if I'm honest.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, so basically the gist of it is Aster is a hyperliquid competitor. They're backed by YZ Labs, which is like CZ's like wealth fund or something. Like, so basically CZ is backing this. This is CZ's little perps trading platform. And yeah, they came out the bat with a fully functional, ready to go platform. They're teasing airdrops. So of course, like they're stealing a bunch of liquidity from all random corners of on chain. So everybody's on Aster right now. And yeah, it's like the new hot thing. Everyone's like trying to farm Aster points, and we'll see if it lasts and if it like outcompetes Hyperliquid. I think it has a good chance to because CZ's backing it.
That and they just have so much money, like how
Exactly.
And that kind of is also what I want to talk about through this lens is like these large companies that just go, okay, what if we copy these small little upstarts that are doing well and just do it better? And then they kind of like kill off these upstarts when really they should be doing like new and interesting stuff. Like it's kind of just
that.
like
And
they're
they don't
just
even necessarily do it better either. They just like
No.
dump a bunch of money into it.
Yeah, and then eventually, like they're like, "Cool, we drove out the competition. Let's raise our prices and go a bit better." But yeah, I think it's just crazy to me that we see so many of these large companies iterating instead of innovating.
You know, it was a cool silver lining that I did see on Twitter was that, and I totally forgot about this, but like I think sometime last year or even 2023, CZ was banned from working on Binance. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Like because he went to prison, and like part of the rules for him being released was like you can't have anything to do with Binance anymore, like on paper. And so he, in a clip that I saw like just this morning, CZ was like, "Oh well, I don't really care like that. I can't work on Binance because I can just work on Aster now, and Aster is decentralized and Binance is centralized. So now it's fine because I just get to do decentralized work again." So that was cool to hear somebody like on his level pushing decentralization.
I mean, I would push decentralization if it kept me out of prison as well.
And I'm sure it makes him a big bag too.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Katya,
But
what
it
are your
was cool to
thoughts on
hear.
all this?
Well, I have a shameful confession, which is that I am not entirely sure what perps are. So, like, what the difference is, when they say like a perp exchange and a regular exchange. So, what are perps, Kale?
Oh, dude, it's a way to lose your money. Like, it's a way you start with $100 and then you end up owing 1,000. Now, so like, do you know what options trading is on the stock market, Katya?
Vaguely, which is
It's
probably
like-
why I don't understand perps.
It's similar to that. It's just a way to trade leveraged. So like you
Right.
can have an account, and your account, like you actually only have $1,000. But because of like things that they do on the back end, like they leverage your account, and then you're able to use that $1,000 and trade as if it's 10,000 or as if it's
Right.
100,000. But like, there's negatives to that too, So it's like,
But then the losses are also amplified
Yeah,
in that way. And you
exactly.
never had that money to begin with. So.
Exactly. So if you like do 100x long on only 1,000, that means you're trading your $1,000 as if it were worth 100x that. But then if it goes down 1%, you have to pay as if your 100K went down 1%.
Yeah.
So it's
And
like
it's called a perp because it's perpetual, as in there's no expiration date. Whereas like options trading, it's like I'm trading with leverage, but it has a specific end day where if that doesn't happen by then, I'm SOL.
Yeah, perps are scary.
So this is, remember there was that thing with Robinhood when somebody like was looking, remember that whole story where a guy like was like in debt like 150,000 like
Mhm.
without
Like a few years ago,
remember?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, and it was a whole thing where they got so much blowback for like not making it clear or making it possible in the first place. So I guess it's really, and I guess the popularity of these tools and like people clamoring for more, like is a statement to like human stupid overconfidence. I guess everyone thinks if only somebody let me treat my $100 as if it was $10,000, then
Yeah,
I would
I'm
get
different.
rich overnight.
Yeah.
Like if only, because the only reason I'm not doing well is that I don't have capital to start with. And if I did, then, like I would make generational wealth in the course of a week, and, that would be that. But yeah, but thank you for that explanation. Because I hear perps and perpetual. Well, when I hear perps, I don't think perpetuals.
You think
First
criminal?
thing, but
Yeah,
I
see?
do,
Yeah.
I do. But
We got the
from your
pups here down at the station.
I
Lock
feel
them
like
up.
it was somewhat related from Kale's explanation.
Yeah, I can see that.
Not entirely dissimilar. But yeah, no. And I think more platforms in the space who are doing it will probably lead to more people knowing what it is, but hopefully also being aware of the dangers, which is of course the thing. Like this is not something I would ever do because I don't have the confidence of knowing what I'm doing with it. But I guess that doesn't stop a lot of people.
Now, speaking of confident, let's talk about these changes to the ETF rules by the SEC. So basically, they changed the way that people are going to be able to get ETFs approved. And so I think we've already seen a Doge ETF because of this. And that's very silly. Katya, what are your thoughts on this?
So I think the Doge is actually, even before this, I think there was an ETF first that included Doge with
Mhm.
other assets like a basket. And then there's just a pure one, right? That just got approved or something. But yeah, that was even before that. But this is they are streamlining. The SEC wants less work for itself, I think.
Yeah.
And streamlining. So it's still not like anybody can just do it. The underlying asset has to fulfill certain um check certain check boxes, like it has to have been traded for 6 months somewhere, it has to be underlying. So there are conditions to it, but at this point I saw somewhere in an article there are like 12 to 15 cryptocurrencies that do fulfill those conditions so that
Mhm.
they could theoretically go and pass for an ETF automatically under these new rules, without individual approval. And presumably those conditions are easier to fulfill than the whole SEC review was previously. So yes, it does open the door to like just basically fill out a form, and somewhere someone or AI checks whether all the conditions are fulfilled, and that's it. You can trade an ETF. Which of course people who are worried about crypto being a criminal activity instrument are up in arms about, because they're like, nobody is like vetting these things, nobody is checking whether they're safe for consumers. But again, if perpetuals can exist, then like what are we even talking about? Who's keeping who safe?
Yeah.
People are
True
gonna
that.
shoot themselves in the foot no matter what you do.
That's true. I'm excited that they're making ETFs easier, because I do think we, in like more TradFi stuff, want to see more ETFs that are more thematic. There are a lot of people out there that are like, well, I want exposure to like the S&P 500 without Tesla, or stuff like that, and it's not something you can currently do. So I think this will ultimately give more power to investing options, which I like to see. But Kale, talk to me. Do you give a shit or no?
No, not really, dude. But
Yep.
I was gonna share your exact same sentiment. Because I even heard Kasala say something about it that I completely agree with. It's basically what you said. It's like it's a double-edged sword, like because in my heart I'm like I want to see everything be decentralized and like decentralize the world. But then it's like, yeah, of course, like ETFs were like kind of a natural progression. And I feel bittersweet about them because like in one sense, they're like introducing crypto and blockchain things to like a whole new audience of TradFi people. But on the other hand, it's like it's centralizing crypto. So I don't know. So part of me likes it, part of me doesn't like it. It's kind of just like, I'm kind of a nothing burger. I'll never use ETFs personally, you know, like because I'd rather just buy the things on chain. But yeah, I don't know. It is cool to see TradFi coming into crypto, and then like also crypto, like we're entering into TradFi in our own way. You know, like how we're bringing stocks on chain.
Yeah.
And like how you said, like if someone wants to invest in like QQQ or SPY or whatever, but they don't want Tesla, like you can't do that on the stock market. But maybe we'll have like some on-chain options where we'll be able to do that in the future. So yeah, I generally agree with you that it's cool to see like more options.
Yeah.
But yeah, part of me is like, bleh.
You're like, boo, the suits, the boo.
Yeah, boo centralization. But I don't know. It is what it is.
You know, I actually never thought, well, because I'm not a big, investor or trader in the traditional market, but what you said, Vince, I never even really thought of that, and I actually really like that idea in terms of like easier ETFs, making it easier to make highly specialized baskets of assets that somebody like. I actually really like that because I feel that a lot of people are kind of in this group where they have funds to invest. They are interested, they want to, but they either don't have the time or the energy or the knowledge to research what they want to invest into, which is, why things like S&P and all that are popular because people are. But at the same time, I feel like, especially with younger generations, generations Z, and even millennials, um, they are more conscious about what they will and won't support. As you say, somebody wants to have this basket, but without Tesla in it. Or maybe somebody is interested specifically in supporting clean energy or research into specific things or like fields that you think have promise for whatever reason, but they're more specific than, just pharma or whatever it is. Or you like pharma, but only certain kinds of pharma because you believe in. So I think that's kind of actually a really cool concept to be able to shop for these funds based on your beliefs and interests, and where you don't have to do research into each specific company, and you can just sort of invest into, well, your ideals, really, like which I think is a really cool way to look at investing, especially like I said, for younger generations, and could have a market for it, because I think people want to be able to do that without necessarily doing the work. So I actually think that's really interesting. I just thought about that now after you mentioned it.
Yeah, it's really funny. I meant to send this to you last night. I saw a commercial that made me think of both of you, and it's for Kraken's new crypto baskets. And the entire premise of the commercial is analysis paralysis. So I'm like, analysis paralysis, Katya, Kraken, Kale, done. It's perfect. But then I got sidetracked.
Wait, so like it's in their app? It's like little
so they
ETF
just launched
baskets?
little baskets of their crypto baskets, crypto ETFs, I'm sure.
Cool.
Which, I mean, I dabbled with in the crypto.com app, and it was horrendous. So I'm like, good luck, guys.
Dude, yeah, honestly, one of the reasons why Kraken like pulled me in and won me as a customer in 2020 was because they were one of the only centralized exchanges with staking at the time. And I think they got in trouble for it later because that was before regulatory clarity. But
everyone did, especially because you were living in California. So
yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, go
so
Kraken.
Let's move on to the final subject, which is where we started with. Every wallet and their mother is launching a token. We saw this with Trust Wallet. We saw Rabby announced it. We saw MetaMask tease it, like, strongly. I feel like
Yeah,
they didn't announce it, but they teased it strongly.
For the
I
Talk
feel
to
like
test
you
me.
even promised it, more or less. So
Maybe, but talk to me about wallets and tokens, Kale, and I just want to poke some holes on this because I'm fascinated by this. So talk me through it. What are the purpose of these tokens that these wallets are launching?
Um, I want to preface this by saying I read a tweet one time, and I totally agree with it. And I actually I think of this tweet all the time, just randomly. And it said that the best products don't need tokens,
Mm,
and the best tokens don't need products.
I like that.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree because at the end of the day, when people are putting their money into the market, they're putting their money into the market because they expect it to grow. You know, nobody's putting their money into the market with the intent of losing money. So in that sense, tokens without a product are better to invest in, so to speak, because products, once your token is attached to a product, it gives it like a cap, you know, because then people start asking like, what's the revenue? Like, what's the potential? But if there's no product attached to the token, it's just straight speculation to infinity.
Hmm.
Um, and then on the other side of the coin, the best products don't need a token because people aren't using the best products because they have good tokenomics. People are using the best products because that's what works the best for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that sense, in that regard, I'm not a fan of wallet tokens at all. I think that wallets are one of the actual like great use cases of crypto because it's like obviously like yeah, we need something that's going to be able to hold your tokens and you can use them to send, and it's like very basic things, but it's like yeah, we need that to transact. And yeah, so I don't know. I'm not really a fan of wallet tokens. I have heard the argument that a lot of these companies are going to try to share revenue with their users, which introduces like all types of incentive alignments. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan. I would have to see it to believe it
I
because
mean,
I've seen so many grifts in crypto.
for sure. And so I feel like as we see these token launches for these wallets happen, they're all like, yeah, and these are going to be used for features. These are going to be used to build loyalty. And I am just like, that's a hot load of garbage. But Katya, you talk about this first before I get up on my soapbox.
I mean, I know we like to have some dynamics here once in a while, but like unfortunately, I agree. Like I have nothing to I've talked before about tokenomics like being the product, you know, and that it's stupid. And I think this is one of those. And I haven't seen that quote that Kale mentioned, but I get like I don't you know what are the token uses, as you mentioned, what are the potential token uses that these wallets um talk about is sharing revenue, which if you want to reward users, you don't need a token for that. You can
Right.
reward users with USDT or USDC or ETH or whatever it is. If you want to, uh, d- 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 distribute rewards based on loyalty, you don't need a token for that. Um, and when they talk about governance, like my eyes roll back so far into my head that I fall out of my chair because, like, I don't want to have to show up to vote for shit. Like, because I'm afraid that then the wallet will disappear if I don't. Like,
Yeah.
I'll have to make quorum. Otherwise, like, stuff is going to go wrong. Like, I have the HOA. That's, more than enough for me. Like, more stress of voting, like, I don't need to have to do that for my finance app. So yeah, no, I don't like a wallet doesn't need a token for whatever, for all the things that they're talking about. Like, if they're succumbing to pressure, because there is pressure on as we know, pressure on wallets, like one token,
Yep.
then that's, I mean, we love users. We want to give them what they want, but that's not it. The users who are clamoring for a token aren't your real users anyway.
Yeah. No,
You
I
know,
agree 100%.
so yeah, like, I just, like, yeah, I agree with both of you on that.
Yeah, so kind of here's my problem with it. Like, they're like, oh, it's going to foster loyalty. No, it's not. It's fostering a financial incentive for these people to stay and farm this. That's not real loyalty. And I think, you're going to then start gating some of your features behind this. That's insane. People are going to buy it just to get it, use that, and then drop it. That's not loyalty. That's just
It's a
friction.
subscription. It's
Yeah,
a subscription, which
But-
also you don't need a token for.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of like something that is fascinating to me, is that if this model worked, traditional finance would have done it first.
Good point.
Because Schwab is publicly traded, Fidelity is publicly traded, Robinhood is
Robinhood,
publicly traded,
Coinbase.
Webull is, all of these things are publicly traded. It would have been a no-brainer that, hey, if you have 50 shares of Schwab in your Schwab account, we're going to give you XYZ. And there is a reason that they don't do that. And even Robinhood, with their, $5 a month Robinhood Gold, you get no break for owning shares of Hood in Robinhood, because they realize that that's not why they want you to buy their stock. They would much rather have the revenue from that $5 a month and gate features behind that, rather than try and get this stock. Because then the moment that asset starts to dip, you're like, wait a second,
See ya.
I'm losing money. This is horrible. And it creates such friction, such hatred for that brand. And so it's crazy to me. Absolutely insane.
That's a great point.
And it's like that is a great point. I hadn't thought of that, but now you talking about that, like if the price falls and there's this hatred, it made me think of like the ETH drama, like a few months back, like when price was falling and people were being like, why is Ethereum doing this? Like we're not, and it's just because the price action is not what they want.
Yeah.
And the whole thing starts about like leadership, and it's just like, shut up and sit down, like because
Exactly.
other things are happening that you don't understand anything about, like why this needs to, like why it's not about the price.
It's not about Vitalik's profile picture on Twitter.
Exactly. But no, I definitely think we should probably put out that tweet that the best wallets don't need tokens and the best tokens don't need wallets.
Yeah,
or
I'm
projects rather.
Yeah.
Because I
This is
guess
like-
tokens do need wallets.
Doesn't work with the token and the wallet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is
True.
kind of off topic, but kind of related, I think. Vince, you might know, like, how do dividends work exactly? Because like, could that be implemented into wallet tokens somehow?
Sure. I mean, absolutely. That's just going to be them giving tokens based off of revenue, or like
It's basically
tokens
revenue
themselves.
share, right?
Yeah, basically. It can get more complicated depending on like how different dividends work and how those are like taxed and processed. But basically, it's a company that makes money and then gives that money back to shareholders.
I see. So
Or-
it already does exist in TradFi.
It does, yes. But they give it back to you as money that you can then choose to have back as a stock.
I see. Okay, yeah. So it's
Right.
less
So like
Ponzi.
Coca-Cola pays, I think, 2% annually in dividends. And so unless you have dividend reinvesting turned on, you just get, 2% back in cash every year, broken up over quarters, I think, is what it is. But
Yeah, see, something like that makes sense to me, like if you want to reward users. But then still, like Katya said, like you don't need your own token for that. You can literally just
And-
reward people in
Yeah.
ETH.
But and also like what Vince was saying about like the price action kind of muddying the water with the product use, like with the Coca-Cola, you can hold stock and you can get your dividends, but your dividends don't depend on how much Coca-Cola you drink a year. Like it's
Great
not
point.
one thing is not not the other, so I think creating a dedicated wallet token is mixing those things in a way which are not necessary, potentially frustrating, and potentially very extracting from the user in a way that like we don't want to see. So
yeah, that is my greatest fear, is that these tokens are going to extract from users and just kind of leave a lot of bad taste in people's mouths ultimately. But you know what leaves
Agreed.
a good taste in my mouth? Chatting with you two.
Whoa.
I know. And that brings us to the
Nice, very
end of
nice.
this episode. Thank you so much for listening, dear listener. I confused myself there for a second. Make sure you rate the podcast 5 stars wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter. All of our links are in the handle below. And we will see you next week.
But
See ya.